Here we go. Gordon Korman's Island, Book 3, Chapter 1. Day 16, 3:35 p.m. Luke Haggerty peered out between the palm fronds. "Call me crazy," he said in amazement, "but I think that's a chicken." The feathered creature perched on a fallen log was smaller than a farmhand and a deep, rusty brown rather than the usual white, speckled, or Rhode Island red. Otherwise, it was a dead ringer, the same four-toed bird feet, fleshy crest and gizzard. It bobbed as it moved, pecking absently at the rotted wood, clucking softly. "It is a chicken," confirmed his companion, Ian Sikorsky. "Before they were bred for food thousands of years ago, all chickens were like this, the Pacific jungle fowl living in the wild." Luke shot him a cockeyed look. "You're putting me on." "Not really," Ian insisted. "It was a new show I saw on the Discovery Channel. This is a living fossil." Luke grinned at the boy. He knew from the experience that Ian was never wrong about something he'd seen on TV. Pushing up his two long sleeves, Luke stepped out from behind the tree. With their own shorts and T-shirts and rags, the castaways had taken to wearing fatigues from the abandoned army installation on the other side of the island. These were in perfect shape if a little faded, but they were adult size. Slight Ian's new clothes hung on him like a tent. Ian grabbed the baggy fabric of Luke's shirt. "Where are you going?" "We've been living on fish and bananas," Luke replied. "If that's a chicken, it's dinner. It'll be our present for Will." Will Greenfield rested back at their camp with a bullet wound in his thigh. Today was his birthday, or at least as nearly as they could reckon the date it was. There had been so little to celebrate lately, so much danger, so much fear. But real meat, their first in weeks, that would be a worthy present. It would also be the only present. As their fellow castaway J.J. Lane put it, none of these coconut trees take it merit at Kid Express. Luke approached the log from behind, stepping softly in the tangle of vines and underbrush. The bird clucked and pecked, seemingly unaware. Then, just as the boy lunged, it took off, flapping furiously. Luke tumbled painfully over the log, landing in a heap on the ground. Ian grabbed at the fowl, but it beat its wings in his face before flying off through the rainforest. Yelling, Luke ran after it. Ian hot on his heels. It was an awkward chase. Every 10 feet or so, the bird would have to land, its chicken legs pumping like miniature pistons, before it could take off again. The castaways were faster, but they had the jungle to contend with. Branches and palm fronds slashed at their bodies and faces, and low vines tripped them up. Ian pointed. "It's heading for the beach." Lissa Greenfield handed her brother Will a small aluminum cup of water and a single pill. "Happy birthday," she said dryly. Will sat up on his hospital bed, the wooden raft that had brought 4 of the castaways to the island more than 2 weeks earlier. "It's better than what you gave me last year," cracked ribs. "You melted my computer disk," she reminded him. Will swallowed the capsule and regarded his sister. She looked too upset to be still angry over a fight that they'd had a year ago. "What's the matter, Liz? Was that the last pill?" Ever since the shooting, Will had been taking antibiotics from the first aid kit. He was pretty certain that this was what had kept infection from setting in, but he'd always known that the pills would not last forever. She nodded. "Great present, huh?" Will tried to sound upbeat. "It didn't hurt anymore. It's just kind of numb." Lissa tried not to hide her wince. The patient always looked away when his bandage was being changed, but Lissa had seen that wound, swollen black and blue around a tattered, gaping hole. Add infection to that, infection. At home or in a hospital, it was a pretty simple thing, but here, in this sweltering, insect-laden humidity, with medical attention hundreds of miles away, it was a death sentence. Her brother struggled up to his knees and tried to shift a little weight to his bad side. He shrugged. "With any luck?" "It's healed already." With any luck. Luck had abandoned them so long ago that Lissa couldn't remember what it felt like to be lucky. Not just shipwrecked, marooned on an uncharted island. And then there were the smugglers. Murderous dealers in ivory and illegal animal parts. They were gone now, flown off in their float planes, but they would be back. The old military institution was a perfect place for them to carry on their illicit trade. Anyway, the damage had already been done. The bullet in Will's leg had come from one of their guns, not on purpose. The smugglers had no idea there was anyone else in the island. No, it had been a stray shot. Collateral damage, yet another piece of the castaway's brand of luck. She grimaced inwardly. There was also this little matter of an atomic bomb. Of course, it had been there for more than 50 years, so it probably wasn't going to go off in their faces. But if the smugglers ever found it? She tried to smile over at Will, but the corners of her mouth simply refused to turn up. Small wonder. Lissa honestly felt she might never smile again. Suddenly a cry from the jungle. "Dinner! Dinner!" The Greenfields exchanged a bewildered look. That was Ian. What was he babbling about? As they watched, Luke and Ian burst out onto the beach. They were running full speed and screaming. What was Luke saying? Grab that chicken! Chicken? But then Lissa saw it. A scrawny, undersized brown hen flap-hopping for its life. I got it. Charlie Swan ran across the beach, lining up the bird with her keen athlete's eye. She lunged, arms outstretched, hands ready, but the fowl squawked loudly and scrambled just out of her reach. Charlotte went down, eating sand. The sixth castaway, J.J. Lane, pulled a 4-foot branch out of the woodpile. There's only one way to hit a knuckleball. He cocked it back over his shoulder and took a home run swing. Strike one, he cheered, fanning. Get out of the way, panted Luke. But J.J. lined up the chicken and took another cut. Strike two. Will flattened himself to the raft. Hey, watch out with that thing. But it was hard to stop J.J. once he had decided on a course of action. He raced into position, colliding with Luke, sending the two of them staggering. J.J. recovered, pulled back his bat, and took a final swing. Strike! Whack! J.J. himself was the most surprised person on the beach when he made contact. The bird sailed 20 feet through the air and fell to the sand, stone dead. J.J. dropped the branch as if it had suddenly become electrified. Charlotte turned on him. J.J. Lane, how could you do that to an innocent little bird? And why were you chasing it? J.J. sneered. To give it a check from Publishers Clearinghouse? No, this is good, Ian exclaimed. It's a Pacific junckerfowl. It's Will's birthday present, added Luke, glaring at J.J. Charlotte was still mad. You didn't have to bludgeon it. J.J.'s father was the movie star Jonathan Lane. Growing up in a rich and powerful family had given him a little patience for criticism. The bird had to die somehow, right? He argued. What difference does it make if I Babe Ruthed it? It makes a difference to the bird, Charlotte insisted. Not anymore, J.J. chuckled. Luke turned his attention away from his irritation with J.J. This is meat. Less fighting, more eating. The castaways soon learned that having meat was much more complicated than merely opening a shrink-wrap package from the supermarket. The fowl's head and feet had to be removed. The carcass had to be sliced open. It was a gruesome job. The smell of warm blood and the tropical humidity was nauseating. Luke fought hard to keep from throwing up as he used the knife from their survival pack to scoop the innards away. Lissa held her nose with one hand while using the other to bury the mess in the sand. Oh, I don't think I can eat it now, breathed Charla. We've come this far, Luke groaned. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of J.J. strolling away. What do you think you're doing? The actor's son paused. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. I thought I'd, get going. Maybe take a swim. For Luke, it was the last straw. J.J. was always goofing off. The spoiled Hollywood brat had probably never done any real work in his life, and for sure not any dirty work. Daddy's staff took care of all that. But the famous Jonathan Lane wasn't here right now. Luke stood up. All right, smart guy, you're going to pluck this chicken. In your dreams, laughed J.J. If it wasn't for me, you'd still be chasing that dumb bird around the beach. I'm the hunter. You guys are the kitchen staff. Luke fixed the actor's son with a murderous look. No matter what we do, you're always standing around cracking jokes. Well, today, you're going to make yourself useful. He held out the bloody carcass. If you don't want that up your nose, J.J. supportingly, get it out of my face. I'm not falling for that, snarled Luke. Fighting's just another way for you to goof off. You and me, J.J. said evenly, right here, right now. Enough! It was a cry from Will that froze everyone like the subject in a still picture. I don't want any chicken, Will exclaimed bitterly. None of it means a big stink like this. It's my birthday, and I'm lost, and I'm shot up, and I'm probably never going to see another one. So take that dumb chicken and throw it in the ocean for the fish. J.J. snatched the carcass out of Lucas's hand. I'll pluck it, he mumbled. I can help, Ian volunteered. Forget it, J.J. said. Go watch the Discovery Channel. End of Chapter 1 and the end of page 12.